Hi, I'm Steve. You can call me Steve. A little while ago, I talked about all the various types of dietary fats, what they look like, what they do in the body, more or less. I touched on the differences between cis and trans fats, and how cis fats were important and trans fats were profoundly unhealthy. Trans fats have been implicated in clogged arteries and all sorts of heart disease. What I didn't get into was why. Cis and trans fats are almost identical, with one key difference which I'll get to in a moment. This small difference vastly changes their chemical properties, and that's something that's really common in chemistry. So what is that difference, and why does it make trans fats so unhealthy? First, let me review. I'll link to the original video below, but I'll also recap the key differences here. Fats are long, floppy molecules with one end that likes water and one end that hates it. Cis and trans fats will have a double bond somewhere in this tail. In cis fats, the two parts of the chain are on the same side of the bond. See, both of them are on cis side. I am so sorry. In trans fats, they'll be on opposite sides. This is the double bond. They're on opposite sides. Trans means across, and they're located across the bond from each other. Each of these molecules has the same number and types of atoms, and the only difference is in how these atoms are arranged. When you have two molecules like that, they're called isomers. You'll notice in the trans isomer, the chain is fairly straight, while in the cis isomer, it has this kink in it. This is the key difference I mentioned earlier, the shape of these tails. And the biochemical behavior of molecules is strongly influenced by their shape. Okay, so how does this difference in shape affect their chemistry, or more importantly, their biochemistry? Honestly, I don't know. And from what I can tell, the experts don't know for sure either. There are a couple of leading hypotheses. The first has to do with the things that transport fats around your body. They're called lipoproteins, and they're a mixture of fat and protein. Lipo comes from the Greek word for fat, and these fatty molecules are sometimes called lipids. Lipoproteins come in a wide variety, and the two we care about are low and high density lipoproteins, also called LDL and HDL for brevity. They look a little like hollow blobs of protein packed with fat molecules. Remember, fat doesn't like water. So these fat carriers make little water-free pockets the fat can ride in until it's delivered where it needs to be. Fat is less dense than water. You've all seen oil float on water. So the more fat there is in one of these blobs, the less dense it is. Generally, you can squeeze in more fat if the molecules pack efficiently. It is much easier to get these long, straight chains to line up neatly than it is for these bent things. More trans fats means more low-density lipoproteins. Why is that bad? It's an oversimplification to say that LDL is bad and HDL is good for you. LDL performs a lot of vital functions, but if it's hanging around in amounts beyond what's needed to do its job, that's when it starts being bad for you. HDL also performs vital functions, including preventing buildup of plaque clogs on your arteries. That's a function LDL doesn't perform, which is where we got this notion that HDL was good and LDL was bad. Oversimplified as that notion may be, it's useful for our purposes here. Trans fats pack tighter and make a lot of LDL. At the same time, they're not making HDL. Not only are we making an excess of the stuff that's bad for you in excess, we're reducing the stuff that prevents clogged arteries. This is why trans fats are implicated in heart disease. The other explanation has to do with cell walls. The same packing effect still applies. Trans fats make nice, neat rows of these tails, and cis fats stick out all over the place like a haystack that's had a run-in with a Van der Graaf generator. Your cells are little blobs of water with a double layer of fatty acid-like molecules separating them from the rest of the universe. That double layer is the membrane, and one of its jobs is to let stuff into and out of the cell, and to readjust itself as outside conditions change. When it can do this, it's called fluid. When it can't do this, it's rigid. The tails and rigid membranes tend to be packed very tightly together, which is a feature of trans fats. Fluid membranes look like someone tried to build a wall using only warped boards, which is what cis fat looks like. Rigid membranes make for unhealthy cells. Fluid membranes are healthy cells. Personally, I haven't yet made the connection between unhappy cells and specifically heart disease. This sort of thing affects every type of cell in your body, so why don't trans fats cause all sorts of diseases in every system? Of the two explanations I've presented here, I'm inclined to lean towards the first one. However, as a chemist, I'm outside my field of specialty. So if anyone has a solid biochemistry background and can shed some light on this, let me know in the comments. There may be a follow-up video. That's trans fat. It's a straight line molecule that packs very efficiently and causes all sorts of havoc in your body. There's a near universal opinion among medical professionals and other health scientists that it serves absolutely no purpose and should be completely removed from all foods. I'm not one to argue with the universal opinion of experts. Trans fats are bad, and they need to go. Thanks for watching. I've been Steve.